All right, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You already know what it is. So look, man. Apparently, Drake tried to get Kendrick Lamar's tour in Toronto canceled, and we gonna check in, man. You already know what it is. Let's get it, man. All right, man. So let's go check in with the company, man. You know what it is. So let's go.
All right. Reviews from Kendrick Lamar's Toronto show are still rolling in. Still rolling in. Now, this one's actually a pretty big one. It's written by Justin Tinsley, and it's on Anscape. Now, Justin Tinsley is a longtime hip-hop journalist, a longtime journalist, generally speaking, period. He also works heavily in sports. And so you've probably seen him on, oh my gosh, what was that show called? They just canceled this ESPN show that's been on forever where they had different journalists come on and sort of debate, and the host gave them points for their arguments. I can't think of the name of the show, but he writes for ESPN. He also wrote a book on Biggie Smalls, and so I think that came out last year, but Justin Tinsley's been writing for a long time. And so he wrote a full review of Kendrick's Toronto shows, and it's a really great review. Now, the review itself is wrapped around the idea of whether Kendrick Lamar is the greatest rapper of all time. Spoiler.
Um, I never heard of this dude. Maybe I'm out the loop on some things. I never heard of him, and I also I never seen none of this stuff. I'm gonna look him up, check him out, see what he's all about. But this is pretty interesting that he's writing a piece on Kendrick Lamar's Toronto show. So let's keep it going.
Alert. He's definitely in the consideration, right? After a while, I personally think when you get to a certain tier of artists, it really just comes down to preference, right? I might think Andre 3000 the greatest of all time. You might think Eminem's the greatest of all time. Someone might think Jay-Z's the greatest of all time. Someone might think Pac's the greatest of all time. Someone might think Kendrick's the greatest of all time. But accolade-wise, they all right around the same level, right? So a lot of times it comes down to preference. That's where the article ends. I'll put a link in the description to this because I'm not going to read the entire article. But the beginning of it has some news in it. It's more than just a review here. So the first few minutes of this article has literal news. And so let's take a look at what Justin Tinsley reports coming out of Toronto. He went to Toronto to check this out. And he was there in the Rogers Center. All right, so here's how it starts. On 2001's Hola Ovito, a standout cut from the Library of Congress, immortalized the blueprint. That's interesting that he called Hola Ovito a standout cut. When that album dropped, there was a lot of people who were really critical of that song. I loved it. I thought Hola Ovito was great. I love the way he rocks that beat. But I think this is one of those songs that has maybe aged better over time because
I don't know about that. I don't like Olalo Vito. I'll be honest with you. I don't like that song. I don't like the hook. I don't like it. I just don't like the song. I don't think it's a great. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's a standout track that's great. Sorry.
people critical of the blueprint were critical of Hola Ovito. Nevertheless, on 2001's Hola Ovito, a standout cut from the Library of Congress immortalized the blueprint. Jay-Z declared that if he wasn't better than his late close friend, the Notorious Big, he was the closest one. As the North American leg of Kendrick Lamar and SZA's massively successful Grand National Tour nears its end, it's time to say this about the Compton MC. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, some of us said it in 2016. You know, I don't know. 1 second applause. Placing Lamar's resume in context, and after witnessing the highly anticipated Toronto show in person, it's not audacious to say he is close to being the greatest. Yet, before getting, see, I don't understand why people are still willing to pull that punch. Like, what do you mean close to being the greatest? Everyone else who's considered the greatest has achieved arguably less than what Kendrick has. I mean, that's
a fact. That's 100% facts. And I said that before. I don't know what people were basically like waiting for. Like, why? This man literally has done everything and more than most legends. He has surpassed everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I believe this year coming up with the Grammys, he's going to surpass everybody in the Grammys. Not to say that the Grammys is what make people or whatever, but still in all, man. It's like, what are we talking about at this point? Like, what are we really talking about at this point? Like, really, what are we talking about at this point? Because, in my opinion, you can't really say too much about Kendrick Lamar. Like, you really can't.
That's just straight up and down. I'm not sure how many people got more Grammys. I'm not sure none of them got Pulitzers. I'm not sure how many of them have a tighter catalog. I'm not sure if them have won a battle in the more magnanimous fashion. I'm not sure how many of them have a song that sold 20 million records. Like, just straight up. Like, already he's kind of pulling the punch, and I think that pulling the punch in 2025 is, maybe it's a literary device or something like that. He did write the Biggie book, so perhaps his allegiances lie elsewhere. But close to being the greatest. What's left for Kendrick to do? 1 second applause.
That's a fact. What is left for Kendrick to do? Like, that's the question I have. Like, I'm gonna ask that on my live when I do my live. What is the next thing for Kendrick to do for people to consider him the best? I mean, he done passed everybody in every category. He is multiple classics. What is it? I think the only thing that's holding Kendrick back, in my opinion, that most people, is time. That's it. I think he's done everything in so much. But the crazy thing is, people give Biggie that they give Biggie that nod because he did so much in such a small period of time. But they won't give it to Kendrick, even though Kendrick has surpassed Biggie, in my opinion. Like, come on, man. When it comes down to Biggie, I think it's more nostalgia base for people. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to make this into an argument, Biggie versus Kendrick, but I just think that when it comes down to it, I think Kendrick Lamar has surpassed all of these rappers. So let's keep going.
Placing Lamar's resume in context and after witnessing the highly anticipated Toronto show in person, it's not audacious to say he is close to being the greatest. Yet before getting into logistics of why that holds weight, one must understand the moment that stood in front of Lamar. His Super Bowl halftime show and Drake's lawsuit against Universal Music Group over the smash hit diss record Not Like Us are still in litigation. And yes, there's no denying what the last year has done for Kendrick Lamar's career. And to keep it a buck, Drake's too. No. Hours before Thursday's show at the Rogers Center, I sat at Gabby's, a quaint restaurant a stone's throw away from the Toronto Blue Jays Stadium. Kendrick has always valued Toronto as a tour destination, but the conversation revolved around what Drake meant to Toronto. So he's eating at Gabby's. Okay. A stone's throw away from the Toronto Blue Jays Stadium, the Rogers Center, and he's having dinner, and he's talking to the waitresses about what Drake means to Toronto. Look at the answers he publishes here. F Drake. Yeah, he's had hit records, but you're a joke. I hope Kendrick embarrasses the F out of him tonight, said a bartender named Melissa I spoke to in Toronto. So Melissa was willing to go on record. Melissa at Gabby said, F Drake, he's a joke. He hopes Kendrick embarrasses the F out of him tonight. F.
I don't know, Melissa. He might not have a job tomorrow. Because Drake gonna call a restaurant and get you fired. Oh, no, Melissa. Damn, that's crazy.
Drake. F Drake. And she went on record. 1 second applause to Melissa. Her coworker, Travis, co-signed her statement. All that rep in Toronto is fake. I hope Kendrick does Not Like Us 100 times and it keeps Drake up at night. Jesus. 1 second applause. Now, this is all relevant, right? Because again, one of the big conversations around this battle has been the impact of culture and connection to where you're from. And Kendrick leaned heavily into that. In the chart report, we talked about how Big X the Plug and Glorilla, the artists who are having success on the charts, all have very distinct sounds. And they all tend to lean into sounds from their region as opposed to everyone just being from the internet. And when it came time for that culture, when that cultural element came into the battle, Drake was lost because he spent most of his career switching accents or, riding waves from the South or from Atlanta or whatever, right? Not to take away from things that he has accomplished, but generally speaking, if you look at how Drake has spent most of his time, it was more time with people in Atlanta or Memphis or whatever sound he was adopting for himself, than it was putting on artists from Toronto or putting on other people who were doing a sound that was native to his homeland, right?
That's actually true. I think that carried Drake. That he definitely was one of the best wave riders for a long time, and I think because he was popular and he rode a lot of waves, I think that gave him a pass because it kind of made it seem like he was the one that invented this shit. And a lot of y'all do come out and actually say, "Oh, Drake this," as if Drake was the one who invented these waves that he was riding, but that's not true. That's absolutely not true. He was not inventing these waves that he was riding. So, but yeah, let's keep it going.
He just didn't spend that much time with it. And now here we are, the day that Kendrick, I guess this is probably night two, the day that Kendrick is doing the Rogers Center, stadium that Drake hasn't even performed at. And he's got a waitress and a bartender saying, F Drake, he's a joke. All that rep in Toronto is fake. I hope Kendrick does not like us 100 times and it keeps Drake up at night. Jesus. The reality of what Melissa and Travis said lies somewhere in the middle. What Drake has done for Toronto from an outside perspective can't be understated. For better and worse, according to Toronto residents, he is the foremost recognizable representative for the city on an international stage. 100%. I mean, I don't think you need the residents to say that. I think the rest of us can say that. Out of all the people from Toronto, The Weeknd, you've got Justin Bieber. Prayers for Justin Bieber right now. 1 second applause to Justin Bieber. I guess you got like Shania Twain or something like that. You got Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez is in jail, rightfully so. So, there's not a lot of people that I can say, maybe in the history of Toronto that I can think of, that maybe Celine Dion, is she from Toronto? I think maybe Drake and Celine Dion might be the biggest in the history of the of the city, if not the country. So I don't even think that you have to say that according to Toronto residents. I think, no, according to us, right? According to the rest of the world, he's the one we know. Drake, despite everything, Drake remains the greatest hitmaker in rap history. Given the sheer volume of chart-topping numbers, there's no way to refute what he's delivered or helped deliver to others. He's clearly got enough pull to make Canadian politicians like the former head of the New Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh, publicly apologize on social media for attending last week's show. Now, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. So this guy, this local politician, Jagmeet Singh, right, I think he's a Sikh. And so he attended the Grand National Tour. And Certified Boogeyman, I think is I think it's a Drake page. Certified Boogeyman was like, anybody who has pictures of him at the concert, post him here, we're gonna embarrass him. Right, so here's a local politician going to a Kendrick and Drake show. And Drake saw that, DM'd him and said, you're a goof. You're a goof. Now, there's been online conversations back and forth all week about what a goof means in Toronto. And some people are saying it means pedo. I don't think it means that. I don't think it means PDF. I don't think so. I don't think that's what Friday Ricky Dredd told me one time. Maybe.
I don't know about that. I'm just going off of what a goof actually mean. I don't know what it mean, but and the crazy thing is, I was asking who posted that, and come to find out, it was Drake who posted it on his Instagram. He screenshot and posted it. That's crazy. That's crazy. I just don't know what to say about that.
I'm wrong. 1 second applause to Friday Ricky Dredd. But this is a big story. So now all the Drake fans and the OVO fans are out here jumping on the local politician, Jagmeet Singh, because he went to Kendrick and SZA. They asked him why he went. He said he went because of SZA. He went to see SZA. Even the local politicians couldn't be kept away from Rogers Center last week. And so Jagmeet Singh is under all kinds of pressure. He shouldn't have gone, right? If you've got someone who basically is responsible for $450 million a year in revenue to your city, Drake has that type of economic impact with however many tens of millions of followers he has on his social media. And you have to run for re-election to keep your job? You shouldn't have been there, right? You shouldn't have been there. But he apologized. Now, I
don't know about that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. You shouldn't have been there. Ain't no way in the world you're going to basically tell me what I can and can't do. And y'all always talk about, nah. I don't agree with that. I definitely think he should have went. He shouldn't apologize, though. He shouldn't apologize. Say, yeah, I went to the concert. I wanted to see what it was about. That's it. Like, for real. You didn't have to explain yourself. You're a grown man. You shouldn't have to explain yourself.
This is crazy, right? Because a lot of this stuff really ties into some of the issues I have with what Drake represents. Maybe not him personally. I don't know him personally. But what he represents. He represents someone who never talks about things that are bigger than him. He never talks about social issues. He's gone on record talking about he can only write about himself, right? I've done pieces on that on this channel. Check it out if you missed it, right? And so this Kendrick Lamar going to Toronto and selling out the Rogers Center 2 nights in a row, right? Last week we talked about how they had a protest. Fans got together and put together a protest. They wanted people to come out and get pizza and free hoodies to protest Kendrick selling out the Rogers Center, right? And I said then, these people out here protested a Kendrick Lamar show. There is war in Iran going on right now. People are broke all over the world right now. Debt is crazy out of hand right now. There are tariffs, people with layoffs, losing jobs. There's AI taking jobs. There was a whole trucking boycott that happened in in Canada over the past year. I saw that over on We Love Hip Hop Network. They've got real things that are going on, and this fan base took time out and organized and said, we're going to protest Kendrick coming to Toronto.
Well, I got to give you a little pushback on that. And listen, I stand on your side, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick. I understand exactly what you're saying when you say all of these different things, but you have to understand, people are not affected by these things. At least in their opinion, they're not affected by it. Everybody's affected differently, and people move differently when it comes to things. And on top of that, people believe they can monetize off of things. So even though all of these hardships is going on, and I don't agree with everything he said about certain things, but I agree with most of it. A lot of people don't look at it the way we look at it, and I gotta just say that they don't. And I can understand why they wanted to. They want to make money. Whether you saying okay, there's a lot going on. Why you take time out your day to do this? You have to ask yourself. Well, a lot of these people look at ways to make money, and to them, maybe, how would I say this? To them, maybe coming off the trying to monetize off of Kendrick Lamar being there. It's like, oh, we're gonna do this, and then if they had more than 1,000 people, it'll look like something, and they can upload it to YouTube and make money. That's what a lot of people do. I just gotta say that's what they probably did. But outside of that, I understand what the company man is saying. I agree.
To Toronto. And then now this week, we've got, again, new Democratic Party Jagmeet Singh publicly apologizing on social media for attending the show. Said he went to go see SZA, and Drake calls him a goof, and the fan base jumps on him. I liked it better when my rappers were pissed off at politicians over policy. I liked it when rappers would call out Dolores Tucker or whoever because of legislation. This base is calling out their new Democratic Party Jagmeet Singh for attending a concert. Like their whole thing all the priorities are out of whack. And that's another sign of the shift that we're in, right? We've got the Carter 6 that didn't land. We've got all this stuff that's happening to Drake. We've got Young Thug saying he wants to become a streamer right now. I mean, this guy just got out of jail. He has no juice right now. No juice on Young Thug. I think that, and every time he talks about Gunna being a snitch or whatever, a rat or whatever, the audience ain't feeling it. I feel like whatever era we've been in over the past 15 years, it is over. Over the past 10 years, it's a wrap now. And
the streets are dead. 100%. I mean, there's still things going on out there, but that ideology, and I understand exactly what you're saying, that ideology is over, bro. It's over. All of that, he's a snitch. Nobody cares about none of that no more. And to be honest with you, you got some people, a good portion of people still, but a good portion of people, they don't care. They care about, they care about how they feel about stuff. And if you a snitch or you tell or whatever, a rat, whatever, nobody cares about that. It doesn't really move them. I just don't think people really care about that type of stuff no more. And I know a lot of people get upset to hear that, but it's the truth. Nobody really cares no more.
We're seeing it in different ways. And now we've got a fan base that's willing to protest a Kendrick Lamar concert over something real in the world. And we've got a rapper calling a politician a goof because he attended a rap show rather than over policy. That right there, all this crystallizes my issues with what Drake represents, because it's all about him. But shout out to Justin Tinsley for putting this in here. We haven't gotten to the news yet of this article. Here's the news of this article. This is the sort of anxiety and intensity that permeated in the air before, during, and certainly after the show. It's why both nights felt like such a line in the sand moment, because in many ways they were. The city may appreciate Drake's decades-long dominance, but blind loyalty doesn't exist either. On stage, Lamar and SZA's chemistry was irrefutable. In back and forth sets, both artists commanded the lore and adoration of fans who came to see them. SZA garnered her decibel-breaking moments, further cementing herself as the foremost R&B artist of the decade. Her role and importance on the tour was clear. She is the yin to Kendrick's yang, and the reason why the new Democratic Party representative went to the concert, apparently. But their creative affinity is why the tour has overachieved in the manner it has thus far. When Kendrick handed the baton off to SZA and vice versa, a beacon of pride resonated in knowing the show wouldn't have a drop-off. An added sense of intensity and flavor arrived in ways that never allowed monotony to creep in. As SZA went through a stream of her hits, many of which drew massive reactions from the sold-out crowd, there were perhaps none bigger than her appearance on Rich Baby Daddy, the irony of which being Drake's song was lost on no one. But everyone there understood that night was about Kendrick and how he would perform on the greatest enemy's home turf. Now, this is the news. This is the news right here. This is what Justin Tinsley, author, noted hip-hop journalist, he used to write for Hip Hop DX for a long time. He also writes at ESPN. This is what he says. According to sources, attempts by Drake's camp to have both tour shows canceled or postponed allegedly took place in hopes of booking OVO Fest. Drake tried to stop the whole joint. The whole joint. I mean, this dude is out here suing people. He is suing a record label for putting the song out, and he tried to backdoor these tour stops and traded in for OVO Fest at the Rogers Center.
That's insane. That's insane. So let me get this right, Drake. Let me get this right. So you... What do you get out of this, Drake? Like, I'm being serious. Like, what do you get out of this? I just don't understand your logic, bro. Like, what are you trying to achieve? The more you do this, the more you look bad. Now he's out here doing this. I'm going to run this back a little bit. I need to hear the whole thing.
And he tried to backdoor backdoor these tour stops and traded in for OVO Fest at the Rogers Center. Paranoid and spiraling to a T. Listen to this. I'll read it again. It keeps going. According to sources, attempts by Drake's camp to have both tour shows canceled or postponed allegedly took place in hopes of booking OVO Fest. However, by then, paperwork with the Rogers Center had already been filed, and no other venue in the city could hold the same capacity. No other venue in the city. Ultimately, the best that could happen was a stream with Kai Cenat, which also fell through. We covered that last week. Though universally known in Toronto sports circles for his close affiliation with the Raptors, Drake's relationship with the Blue Jays is cordial at best. Part of his 2011 Headlines video was filmed at Rogers Center, and the artwork for his 2015 Meek Mill disc Back-to-Back featured Blue Jays legend Joe Carter's 1993 walk-off World Series home run. Outside of that, his presence at Blue Jays games isn't well documented. So when the request came in, the team and stadium didn't feel much of a need to try and honor it because it wasn't as if the bond was ever that strong to begin with. Jesus. 1 second applause. So we have Drake trying to backdoor the tour, right? Drake is over here saying, now throw that out, I'll do OVO Fest. How about that? I'll do OVO Fest. I'll bring all my friends from America. All my American friends, I'm gonna bring all of them out. Everybody from Atlanta's gonna come out with me. We're gonna do that at OVO Fest. Let's do that. Can we do that? How about that? And then Toronto, the Blue Jays was like, I mean, it's already booked and everything, but like, honestly, you don't even really come around like that. You know, like it was cool. You put old Joe Carter on your cover art that one time. That was cool. You know, like Headlines was a long time ago though, Drizzy. You know that, right? You know that, right? You don't even really come around here like that. Nah, we're just gonna kick it with Kendrick and SZA. We're just gonna kick.
That's funny as hell. But now, I don't know if he's actually still doing the Olympics. People saying this, but not the Olympics, the World Cup. I know Kendrick is supposed to be doing the Olympics in 2028. I don't know, 2027 or whenever it is. But yeah, man, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why Drake would do what he do. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to finish watching the rest of the Joan on the Company Man channel, just go over there, subscribe to him and all that good stuff. Yeah, man. I just at this point I give up. I just give up on Drake and everything he's doing because I just don't think that he's in a position anymore. I think OVO Fest would have failed. And I'll be honest with y'all, the more I think about it, I get this gut feeling that although Drake is still a big artist, I don't think that people is really rocking him or want to see him like that anymore. I definitely think that whatever is going on, it's not going to manifest itself for him no more. So that's just my opinion. But thank y'all for joining me. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Torture Talk After Hours. You already know what it is. See y'all. Peace. Bye.